Before a Scorpio can truly love, the universe always demands one thing first: growth through pain. Because love for this sign is never simple. It's not something that happens, it's something they become. Every Scorpio carries an invisible contract with destiny. You will not experience ordinary love. You will experience the kind of love that transforms you, even if it destroys everything you once were. And that's why before a Scorpio can truly love, they must learn. Not from books, not from words, but from the lessons written in the scars of their heart. There are 10 lessons that the Scorpio soul must face in this lifetime. 10 inner awakenings that turn emotional chaos into sacred wisdom. 10 steps that lead them from control to surrender, from fear to faith, from obsession to compassion. Scorpio doesn't fall in love like other signs. They dive headfirst, heart open, ready to feel everything. But the deeper they dive, the more they realize that true love demands something far greater than passion. It demands evolution. So if you've ever loved as a Scorpio or loved a Scorpio, you already know their love can heal you or burn you, sometimes both, because Scorpio doesn't love halfway. They love until their soul breaks open. And when it does, the universe whispers, "Now, you are ready to learn." These 10 lessons are not punishments. They are initiations, gateways that lead Scorpio to the highest form of love, the kind that doesn't need to own, prove, or control. Over the next moments, we'll uncover each lesson together. And as you listen, ask yourself, which of these lessons has life already tried to teach you, and which ones are still waiting for you to face them? Because before Scorpio can truly love, they must first learn to understand love not as a feeling, but as a spiritual art. An art of letting go, of rising again, of loving without losing the self. Take a deep breath, Scorpio. This isn't just another love story. This is your soul's curriculum, the 10 lessons you came to Earth to master before your heart can finally say, "Now I understand what love truly means." Comment if this resonates with you, Scorpio. Have you already faced some of these lessons, or are you still learning to love without fear? Lesson 1. Learning to trust after betrayal. Every Scorpio has known betrayal. It comes early in life, sometimes through love, sometimes through friendship, and often through silence. But it always cuts deep, right through the part of the soul that believed loyalty was sacred. When a Scorpio trusts, they don't do it halfway. They give you access to their most guarded places, the memories they never told, the dreams they never shared. They let you see behind the armor. And when that trust is broken, it's not just the heart that shatters, it's their entire perception of safety. That's why so many Scorpios build walls higher than anyone else's. They protect themselves with sarcasm, mystery, distance. They test people watching if they'll leave when things get heavy. Not because they want to play games, but because they've learned that vulnerability can cost everything. But here's the paradox that every Scorpio must face. To truly love, they must risk the very thing they fear most: trust again. The universe, in its strange compassion, keeps sending Scorpios mirrors of their own fear. They'll meet partners who reflect their mistrust, lovers who withhold emotion, souls who disappear the moment Scorpio begins to open. And every time it's the same spiritual exam. Will you close your heart again, or will you finally trust not them, but yourself? Because the real lesson isn't about trusting others first. It's about trusting your own intuition, the voice that warned you, the gut that knew. When Scorpio reconnects with that inner guidance, they no longer need to guard their heart with steel. They can walk into love with awareness, not fear. Trust doesn't mean blindness, it means alignment. It means saying, "I know who I am, and even if I get hurt, I will rise." Because that's the beauty of Scorpio, every betrayal plants the seed of rebirth. In Buddhist philosophy, they say that pain is the greatest teacher because it cracks the shell of the ego and lets wisdom enter. For Scorpio, betrayal does exactly that. It breaks illusions, yes, but it also awakens spiritual sight. When they finally learn to trust again, not because the world became safer, but because they became stronger, that's when true love finds them. Because real love isn't about guaranteeing safety, it's about meeting truth with an open heart. And no one learns that lesson more powerfully than a Scorpio who has faced the storm and still chooses to love. So ask yourself, Scorpio, have you forgiven the one who broke you, or are you still punishing the next person for their sins? Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever loved again after betrayal, not because you forgot, but because you finally understood? Lesson 2. Letting go of control in love. If there's one thing Scorpio fears more than betrayal, it's losing control. Because control to them isn't about dominance, it's about survival. After they've been hurt once, control becomes the only thing that feels safe. Scorpio doesn't like uncertainty. They don't like not knowing what their partner feels or where the relationship is heading. They crave truth, raw, unfiltered, absolute truth, because half-truths feel like poison. So without realizing it, they start to manage every emotional variable around them. They read every silence, they analyze every delay in a text. They test, they pull back, they predict as if love were a strategy, not a surrender. But here's the paradox. The more Scorpio tries to control love, the more love slips away. Because love by nature is wild. It cannot be owned, defined, or contained. It only survives in freedom, and that's the hardest truth for a Scorpio heart to accept. The universe, however, never gives up on teaching this lesson. So Scorpio will often attract people they can't control, free spirits, unpredictable souls, or partners who mirror their intensity but refuse to be tamed. Each encounter is designed to loosen Scorpio's grip, to remind them that control is not love, it's fear wearing armor. When Scorpio learns to stop trying to predict and starts to feel something shifts, they realize that the need to control is actually the need to feel safe. But true safety doesn't come from knowing what will happen, it comes from trusting that whatever happens will transform them, not destroy them. It's the spiritual evolution from I must manage love to I can surrender to love. And that surrender is not weakness, it's wisdom. In Buddhism, there is a saying, let go or be dragged. For Scorpio, this is more than philosophy, it's the essence of their healing. Because the tighter they hold on to something out of fear, the faster it dissolves. And the moment they release it with faith, life gives it back in a purer form. When Scorpio finally lets go of control, love becomes lighter. The intensity remains because they will always love deeply, but it no longer suffocates. It breathes. It becomes a dance, not a battlefield. That's when love ceases to be a power struggle and becomes a sacred exchange, two souls meeting without the need to dominate or define. So, Scorpio, ask yourself, are you loving to connect or to control? Do you hold on out of faith or out of fear of losing what you think you need? Because the universe is whispering to you. Love doesn't bloom in your grip, it blossoms in your open hands. Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever realized that letting go was the only way to keep what truly mattered? Lesson 3. Vulnerability isn't weakness. For most Scorpios, vulnerability feels like standing naked in a thunderstorm, powerful but terrifying. They've been taught by life itself that the moment they open up, someone will use that truth as a weapon. So they learned early on, don't show too much, don't feel too deeply, don't need anyone more than they need you. It's a survival mechanism, not cruelty. Scorpio builds emotional armor so perfectly crafted that even they sometimes forget it's there. They'll smile when they're breaking inside. They'll say, I'm fine, while their heart screams for connection. They believe that to stay strong, they must stay hidden. But here's the great illusion that Scorpio must unlearn vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the purest form of strength. Because it takes more courage to open your heart after pain than it ever did to fight through it. It takes more bravery to say, this is who I am, than to say, I don't care. Every time Scorpio lets someone see behind their mask, they reclaim a lost part of themselves, the part that still believes in love. And strangely enough, when they stop pretending to be invincible, people feel safer with them, because nothing connects souls faster than authenticity. The universe knows this, which is why it keeps placing Scorpio in relationships that challenge their emotional armor. They meet people who won't settle for the mask, who gently demand the real heart beneath it. And while it feels uncomfortable, even threatening, it's exactly what their soul needs. Vulnerability doesn't mean exposing everything. It means being honest about what you feel without apology, without manipulation, without shame. It's saying, I'm scared instead of pushing someone away. It's admitting I care without worrying if the other person cares back. That's real power, the kind that can't be taken, only shared. In Buddhist teachings, strength is not the absence of fear, it's the ability to remain open despite fear. For Scorpio, that openness is the gate to enlightenment through love. Because the moment they stop hiding their emotions, love stops feeling like war and starts feeling like peace. And that peace doesn't come from being understood, it comes from finally being authentic. When Scorpio realizes this, they begin to attract relationships that match their honesty, not their armor. People who meet them where they are not where they pretend to be. So, Scorpio, this is your reminder. You don't have to be unbreakable to be powerful. You just have to be real. Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever realized that showing your heart didn't make you weak, but free? Lesson 4. Forgiving their own intensity. Scorpio feels everything not in colors, but in fire. Where others see a spark, Scorpio sees an inferno. Where others feel interest, Scorpio feels destiny. It's their nature to dive so deeply that love becomes an ocean they drown in willingly. But in a world that fears depth, that kind of emotion is often misunderstood. People call Scorpio too much, too intense, too serious. And over time, those words begin to echo in their mind until they start believing that maybe they are the problem. So, Scorpio hides. They tone down their emotions, suppress their passion, laugh at their own sensitivity, and pretend not to care as much as they do. But repression isn't healing, it's self-rejection. And that's the quiet poison that eats away at Scorpio's authenticity. Here's the truth that every Scorpio must eventually learn. You are not too much. You are exactly as deep as love needs you to be. The universe never designed Scorpio to love lightly. It made them guardians of emotional truth, alchemists of pain, into wisdom, darkness into devotion. Their intensity isn't a flaw, it's their sacred tool for transformation. But to wield that power with grace, they must first forgive themselves for feeling so deeply. They must stop apologizing for their emotional storms and start honoring the rain that makes things grow. Because when Scorpio represses emotion, it turns destructive. But when they express it with awareness through art, meditation, truth, compassion, it becomes divine. Forgiveness for Scorpio isn't about the past, it's about reconciling with who they are. To look into the mirror and say, yes, I am intense, I am powerful, I am emotional, and that is my gift. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a saying, the lotus does not bloom in clear water, it blooms in the mud. Scorpio is that lotus. Their passion, their darkness, their chaos, all of it is sacred soil. When they accept it instead of fearing it, they bloom into their truest self. Once Scorpio forgives their intensity, love stops feeling like a war to be managed and starts feeling like energy to be shared. They stop punishing themselves for caring too much and start realizing that their depth is the very reason someone will one day stay, not leave. So, Scorpio, your lesson is this. You were never too much for the wrong people. They were simply too shallow to meet you there. Don't shrink your flame to keep others comfortable. The world needs the full warmth of your fire. Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever been told you feel too deeply only to realize that depth is your greatest strength? Lesson 5. Love is not possession. For Scorpio, love often begins like gravity pulling them in so powerfully that they forget where they end and the other person begins. When they love, they merge. They dissolve. They become us instead of me and you. It's a kind of love that feels fated, spiritual, eternal, and that's exactly why it terrifies them. because once Scorpio gives their heart, the thought of losing it feels unbearable. They start to hold on tighter to protect what they love from anything that could take it away. But in that protection hides fear, the fear of abandonment, of rejection, of invisibility. And that fear, if left unhealed, begins to twist love into possession. Scorpio doesn't possess out of arrogance. They do it out of devotion, the kind of devotion that says, if I love you this much, how could I ever let you go? But the universe whispers a truth that is painful yet freeing. Real love is not ownership, it's recognition. When Scorpio loves from fear, they chain what they adore. But when they love from trust, they set it free. Because what's meant for them will never need to be controlled. It will simply align. This is one of Scorpio's hardest lessons. To understand that letting someone breathe, grow, or even walk away doesn't mean the love dies. It means the love matures. It transforms from attachment into awareness. True love is not about mine. It's about I see you and I honor your freedom as much as my own. The universe will often send Scorpio experiences that test this truth. Lovers who cannot be owned, connections that demand space, moments where their only choice is to let go. And in those moments, the Scorpio heart either breaks open or hardens. Those who choose openness discover the secret alchemy of love, that the act of releasing someone with compassion is more powerful than keeping them through fear. In Buddhist wisdom, they say that attachment is the root of suffering, not love attachment. Love liberates, attachment binds. And when Scorpio learns to love without clinging, their heart evolves from a prison into a temple. That's when love becomes sacred, not because it lasts forever, but because it exists in full awareness, free, alive, present. So Scorpio, ask yourself, are you trying to keep someone close, or are you trying to keep yourself safe? Because when you finally let love breathe, you'll see what's truly yours will never need to be held by force. Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever realized that the moment you stopped holding on was the moment real love finally stayed? Mid-conclusion. The halfway point of transformation. 5 lessons in, and already the Scorpio soul begins to soften, not weaker but wiser. Each lesson peels away another layer of fear. The fear of betrayal, the illusion of control, the shame of vulnerability, the guilt of intensity, and the pain of letting go. Scorpio starts to see that love was never the enemy fear was, and the deeper they face those fears, the more their heart begins to breathe again. This is the midpoint of their transformation, the sacred pause between destruction and rebirth, the place where Scorpio finally realizes, maybe I don't have to fight love anymore. Maybe love is not something to survive. Maybe it's something to surrender to. In Buddhist wisdom, the halfway point of awakening is when one stops resisting pain and starts understanding it. For Scorpio, this moment is exactly that. They're learning that healing isn't about becoming less emotional, it's about becoming more conscious of those emotions. From here on, the journey changes tone. The next 5 lessons are not about surviving love, but about transcending it, about turning connection into compassion, desire into devotion, and pain into purpose. So, Scorpio, take a breath. You've walked through your shadows and faced your storms. Now the path ahead leads toward light, toward the kind of love that doesn't break you but awakens you. Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever reached that point where you stopped fighting love and simply allowed it to transform you? Lesson 6, express, don't test. One of Scorpio's most mysterious habits in love is testing people not to manipulate but to measure the truth. To them, love is sacred and trust is something that must be proven, not assumed. So they test. They pull away to see if you'll chase. They go silent to see if you'll notice. They create small storms just to see who will stay through the rain. But what Scorpio doesn't always realize is that every test comes from an unspoken fear, the fear of being unchosen, unseen, or unworthy of consistent love. They test because they want reassurance. They test because words don't feel enough. They need evidence. Yet ironically, those tests often push away the very people who were meant to stay. The universe designed this lesson carefully for Scorpio's evolution to learn that testing love is not the same as expressing it. Testing says, "Prove you love me." Expressing says, "Here's how I feel." One is born of fear, the other of courage. It takes deep maturity for Scorpio to speak their truth instead of hiding behind their tests. To say, "I need to feel safe right now," instead of pretending they don't care. To admit "I miss you" instead of creating distance to see if the other person will close the gap. That's the alchemy of expression, turning emotional control into emotional honesty. When Scorpio learns to express rather than test, relationships shift from tension to connection. Their partners stop feeling like they're walking through a minefield of hidden expectations. Love begins to flow because truth replaces guessing. In Buddhism, they teach that suffering arises when we want something but refuse to speak it. Expression, then, is liberation. It releases the pressure, opens the heart, and allows compassion to replace fear. Scorpio's real power was never in their ability to read others. It was always in their ability to reveal themselves. And that revelation is what transforms love from a mystery into a mirror. When Scorpio dares to express their heart without disguise, they discover something astonishing. They don't lose control, they gain intimacy. Because real closeness doesn't come from guessing each other's pain, it comes from sharing it. So, Scorpio, your lesson is this. Don't make people prove their loyalty through silence, invite them into your truth. Because the one who's meant for you won't fail your test. They'll never need to take it. Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever realized that honesty brought you closer than any test ever could? Lesson 7. Releasing the shadow of jealousy. Jealousy is the shadow side of Scorpio's love, the emotion they rarely admit but always feel. It doesn't come from hatred or insecurity. It comes from how deeply they value connection. When Scorpio loves, they love exclusively. They crave emotional loyalty the way others crave air. But jealousy, when left unchecked, becomes poison not to others, but to the Scorpio soul itself. Because jealousy says, if they look away, I disappear. It ties identity to possession, love to validation, and connection to control. The truth is, jealousy is not about the other person, it's about fear. Fear of being replaced, fear of not being enough, fear that what they give won't be returned. And for a sign as intuitive and sensitive as Scorpio, that fear feels almost unbearable. They can sense shifts in energy before anyone speaks. A delayed message, a distracted tone, a subtle change, they feel it instantly like a psychic wound. But the real spiritual work for Scorpio is learning not to let that awareness become obsession. Because their intuition was never meant to spy, it was meant to understand. The universe teaches Scorpio this lesson in patterns. They attract situations that test their confidence partners with busy lives, connections that demand space, or moments when they feel unseen, not as punishment, but as mirrors. Each experience asks the same question. Can you stay secure in your worth even when you're not being reassured? That's when Scorpio's evolution begins. They start to see that jealousy loses its grip when self-trust grows stronger. When they realize I don't need to control love to keep it, what's meant for me will stay because it resonates with my soul. This doesn't mean Scorpio stops caring, it means they stop fearing. And that shift turns jealousy into empathy, tension into peace. They begin to celebrate their partner's freedom instead of fearing it. They understand that true loyalty doesn't come from control, but from emotional safety. In Buddhist teachings, attachment is the root of suffering, but compassion is the cure. When Scorpio replaces jealousy with compassion, both for themselves and for the one they love, they rise above the shadow. They no longer look for proof of love, they become love itself. That's when the heart finally rests. Because jealousy was never about others, it was about healing the wound of abandonment within. And once Scorpio heals that wound, no outside force can make them feel less than again. So, Scorpio, your lesson is simple but sacred. You don't lose anything by trusting. You only lose yourself when you let fear define your love. Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever realized that jealousy fades the moment you remember your own worth? Lesson 8. Accepting that deep love doesn't always mean forever. For Scorpio, love isn't a moment, it's a lifetime contained within a heartbeat. When they give their heart, they don't imagine an ending. They believe in forever not out of fantasy, but because their love feels cosmic, destined, written somewhere beyond time. So when love ends, it doesn't feel like loss, it feels like death. The world becomes quieter, the air heavier. Because when Scorpio connects with someone, they don't just share time, they share transformation. And losing that bond feels like losing a part of their own soul. But here lies one of Scorpio's greatest spiritual lessons. Deep love doesn't always mean eternal togetherness. Sometimes a soul enters our life not to stay, but to awaken. The universe sends people to Scorpio not as permanent companions, but as sacred teachers. One lover might teach them trust, another forgiveness, another how to let go. And while each goodbye feels like a wound, each wound becomes a doorway to wisdom. Scorpio struggles with this because they crave permanence in a world built on impermanence. They want emotional eternity. But the truth is, love's depth is not measured by its duration. Some connections last years and change nothing. Others last weeks and change everything. In Buddhist philosophy, this is the principle of anicca impermanence. Everything that is born must change. Everything that is loved must evolve. And to cling to what is meant to move is to suffer. When Scorpio learns to accept that truth, their heart expands beyond possession into gratitude. They begin to say, even if it ended, it was real. Even if it hurt, it awakened me. Even if it's gone, it still lives in what I've become. That's how Scorpio transforms heartbreak into enlightenment, by realizing that endings are not failures, they're transformations. Because every soul they loved became part of their evolution, every goodbye made room for a deeper kind of peace. One day, Scorpio looks back and understands they didn't lose anything. They just graduated from one chapter of love to the next. And in that realization, their heart no longer fears endings, it honors them. Because true love doesn't need to last forever to be eternal. It just needs to be honest, sacred, and alive in its moment. So, Scorpio, your lesson is this. Don't mourn what ended, bless it. Because love that changes you never truly leaves, it simply continues inside you. Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever realized that the most unforgettable love stories weren't meant to last, but to awaken your soul? Lesson 9. True intimacy starts within. Scorpio has always searched for soul connection, that rare, magnetic, unspoken bond that feels like recognition beyond lifetimes. They want to be seen, not just touched. They crave to be known, not just wanted. And yet the great paradox is that Scorpio often seeks that depth outside before finding it within. They give all of themselves, their passion, their loyalty, their healing, hoping that someone will finally understand their chaos and call it beautiful. But here's the truth, the universe keeps whispering to them, no one can meet you deeper than you have met yourself. For Scorpio, intimacy isn't just physical or emotional, it's spiritual. It's the merging of two souls that have already found peace within their own being. But when they depend on another person to fill their emptiness, love turns into dependency, and that dependency always ends in disillusionment. The deepest relationships Scorpio will ever experience begin the moment they turn inward, when they stop asking, who will love me completely, and start asking, do I love myself completely? That question changes everything. Because when Scorpio begins to honor their own feelings, listen to their intuition, and treat themselves with the same devotion they once reserved for others, something sacred happens. They stop chasing mirrors of their wounds and start attracting reflections of their healing. Every Scorpio must one day face this truth. You cannot be truly intimate with another until you are intimate with your own soul. That means sitting with your shadows without judgment, forgiving your past without shame, and holding your own heart with gentleness. When they do this, the loneliness that haunted them transforms into solitude, a sacred space where peace lives, and from that peace the right kind of love naturally emerges, one that doesn't need to complete them, only to complement them. In Buddhist philosophy, they say, when you realize you are the source, you stop searching for the well. For Scorpio, this means that real intimacy is not found in the arms of another, but in the silence of self-acceptance. Once they reach this understanding, their relationships shift entirely. They no longer demand validation. They give presence. They no longer fear abandonment. They radiate wholeness. And through that wholeness, they attract partners who meet them in balance, not chaos. Because love born from self-awareness doesn't drain, it overflows. It becomes the quiet confidence that says, I am already whole. You are welcome to share my peace, not fix my pain. So, Scorpio, your lesson is this. Stop looking for home in others, build it within yourself first, because the moment you do, you'll never fear being alone again. Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever realized that the love you were searching for was always waiting inside you? Lesson 10. Learning to love without losing yourself. For Scorpio, love has always been all or nothing. They don't dip their toes, they dive headfirst. When they care, they give everything: time, energy, soul, and sometimes even their identity. They merge so completely with the person they love that somewhere along the way, they forget where they end and where the other begins. It's beautiful, but also dangerous. Because when Scorpio loses themselves in love, they stop hearing their own voice. Their dreams fade into the background, their needs become whispers, and their entire being starts to revolve around the one they adore. They call it devotion, but the universe calls it imbalance. This is one of Scorpio's final lessons in love. You can love deeply without disappearing, because love was never meant to consume you. It was meant to connect you. When Scorpio loves without boundaries, they mistake sacrifice for loyalty. They confuse suffering with passion. They start thinking that to prove love, they must endure pain. But love, true awakened love, does not demand that you shrink. It asks that you remain whole while you share your heart. The moment Scorpio remembers who they are, love transforms from a battlefield into a bridge. They learn that the right person will never ask them to dim their fire. They will help them burn brighter. Because love isn't about losing identity, it's about expanding it. In Buddhist teachings, they say attachment is clinging. Compassion is freedom. When Scorpio replaces attachment with compassion, they stop needing love to complete them. They allow it to complement them. They no longer pour from emptiness. They share from abundance. Their relationships shift from dependency to harmony. And then suddenly love feels lighter. It becomes a partnership between two souls walking beside each other, not one chasing or carrying the other. That's when Scorpio finally experiences what they were always meant to love without chains. Love that doesn't require control, apology, or self-erasure. When they reach this level of emotional awareness, Scorpio becomes unshakable. Because now, even if love leaves, they remain whole. They have become both the lover and the sanctuary, both the passion and the peace. So, Scorpio, your final lesson is not about who to love, but how to love, without losing yourself, without surrendering your power, without forgetting that you are already complete. The right love won't take you away from yourself, it will lead you home. Comment if this resonates with you. Have you ever learned that the truest love was the one that helped you find yourself again? Final conclusion, the awakening of Scorpio's heart. So here we are, Scorpio, 10 lessons later, 10 transformations, 10 steps that led you from the shadows of fear to the light of awareness. You began this journey afraid to trust, terrified, to let go and guarded behind walls built from pain. But through each lesson, something sacred unfolded. You learned to open again, to speak your truth, to release jealousy, to forgive your depth, and to understand that love, real love, is never about possession, control, or forever. It's about presence. It's about awakening. Because for Scorpio, love was never meant to be easy. It was meant to transform, to burn away illusion until only truth remains. You came to this lifetime not to experience shallow affection, but to know the divine intensity of a heart fully alive. The old Scorpio, the one who feared betrayal, who tested others, who held on too tightly, they were never wrong. They were just learning. They were doing the sacred work of turning pain into wisdom. Now you stand in a new vibration. You no longer chase love that hurts you, create love that heals. You no longer fear endings, you honor them. You no longer give away your power, you share it. In this new form, you finally understand what all those heartbreaks were trying to teach you. Love isn't about losing yourself in another. It's about remembering who you are in their presence. It's not about controlling the outcome. It's about surrendering to the lesson. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. In Buddhist philosophy, they say, when you love, let it be like a breeze, gentle enough to give freedom, strong enough to carry truth. And now, Scorpio, you are that breeze, fierce yet free, deep, yet peaceful, powerful, yet compassionate. Every Scorpio was born to feel deeply. That's their divine gift. But what makes them extraordinary is their ability to rise after every heartbreak, stronger, softer, and more awake. No sign knows resurrection better than you. No heart transforms pain into purpose quite like yours. So the next time you love, remember this: you don't need to prove your worth, control the outcome, or hold on too tightly. You've already earned the wisdom that only comes through fire. Now, love is no longer your test, it's your temple. And maybe, just maybe, that was the universe's plan all along, to teach you that before you could truly love someone else, you first had to learn how to love yourself endlessly, fiercely, and freely. Take this wisdom with you, Scorpio. Carry it gently into your next chapter. Let it remind you that every ending was a beginning in disguise, and every heartbreak was just the soul's way of saying, now you are ready. If this message spoke to your heart, comment below and share which lesson resonated with your soul the most. And if you wish to keep walking this path of healing and awakening, subscribe to the Path to Buddhist Wisdom, where every story is a mirror and every sign is a teacher. Because your journey doesn't end here, Scorpio. It's only beginning.